I am not worried about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond or the Nintendo Switch 2 one bit at this point. In this video, I want to go over a bit about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond in addition to the Nintendo Switch 2 itself, because there's been a lot of talk when it comes down to it, and this stuff excites me because I love discussing video games. I like talking about the good, I like talking about the bad, and I've been able to take in a lot of what some people are saying online about Metroid Prime 4 and about the Nintendo Switch 2, and I want to reference something that I talked about before. So make sure you guys stay tuned throughout the whole thing here. I think it's going to be fun. So the interesting thing about what everyone is complaining about or defending or this or that is Miles Mackenzie in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This is one of the kind of comedic relief characters that you've seen before in video games. There's a lot of games that have it. Joker and Mass Effect, I think like Halo Infinite had it, Doom has it. There's just like a ton of games that has this prototypical goofy type of comic relief character, and some people took that and took it and completely went insane, completely went wild, saying all sorts of stuff when it comes to this game, saying they've broken every bit of immersion. This game is going to be completely done. It's cooked. Nintendo's completely changing everything, just overreacting based off of nothing that they've actually played and actually getting baited by journalists that are desperately trying to keep traffic onto the channel. And the funny thing is that that's kind of a rookie move, in my opinion, at least. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have criticism. There could be criticism levied once you play the game, but to sit there, at least in my opinion, from this and go, oh my gosh, the whole game is ruined now, they've completely changed everything, it's such a terrible thing, and oh my gosh, the whole game is just going to be absolutely cooked, I just think that's a little bit silly. And the reason why I say that is because, one, if you look at the actual gameplay from the overview trailer, and of course if you look at the actual raw gameplay, it pretty much shows that most of the time you're just going to be Samus the Lone Warrior doing different things. Now, there are some missions where you do go with someone else, or they do something, or they give you an upgrade. But once again, look through that overview trailer, you can clearly see that in so many different environments, so many different times, it's just Samus going through. Now, I'm not opposed to change when it comes to the Metroid series, because change is what defined the Metroid Prime series. If you go back when Nintendo first just had the original Metroid and Metroid 2, and then also Super Metroid and all of that, it was pretty much a 2D side-scrolling game. When they changed it, or when they more like added Metroid Prime, people said, oh my gosh, what's this? Why is it in first person? All this different type of stuff. So Metroid Prime wouldn't even be here in the first place if they didn't look at new ways or add in new elements or different styles to the classic formula. So I have no issue with that. I also saw a post from Mr. Steven Totillo, and he said this about the whole Miles Mackenzie controversy. For better or worse, mechanically, Samus seems to think that Miles Mackenzie sucks too. As noted in my preview, the impression I got from Nintendo is that he's not a game-long companion, that you'll mostly explore without him. A trailer today does show other allies. So it's one of those things to where some previewers took the opportunity and chance to completely focus on this and say this is going to do everything, when Nintendo clearly showed the people that were previewing saying, hey, look, it's just one part right here. Now, do I think that he's going to be in the whole game or anything? Absolutely not. None of the allies are going to be that type of way. We know what Metroid is. We've seen the overview trailer. I think also Jeff Grubb's team, they talked about that, how it wasn't so bad overall with certain things. So I do think that people are blowing it out of proportion overall. I think what should be focused on is the actual look of the game, is Sylux and what's going on there, potentially the psychic link between Samus and there. What's happening with the Galactic Federation? What's happening with these soldiers? What's happening with Samus trying to get off this planet? These new psychic powers, these new abilities. That's the type of stuff that I think that should be focused on, instead of one character that's probably going to be a very minor part of the game and not really going to be talked about too much after, or once we actually start playing. Now, once we get the game, and if it's something to where Miles Mackenzie is there 24/7, it's completely breaking the immersion, and oh my god, it's the worst thing ever, like some people on Twitter and some people on YouTube are trying to say, then okay, I can say, you know what? There's that. But based off of what Nintendo's even shown, based off of what Steven Totillo said, based off of the previews and the gameplay, clearly that is not the case. From the overview trailer, it's not the case. It's not like you can see them every single time with you 24/7 when it comes to it, especially based off the footage that we've seen so far. So for me, I'm not quite on board when it comes to everyone doom posting and saying it's going to be terrible and they completely ruined it. No, I don't think so. I think this game is going to be really good based off of what I've seen, the sound design, the powers, the graphics, the fluidity of the game, 4K 60, 1080p, 120 FPS between quality and performance modes. Handheld modes run good too as well. Between all of that, this looks like an incredible experience that's going to review and do really well. So I'm not concerned yet at all. And once again, I'm looking forward to actually playing the game myself and not going off of what media has to say when it comes to them doom posting or worrying. I mean, they're looking to do that. I work in the media myself. So like, I know the different tactics and techniques. And then of course, people take that and they blow it up even more online. So not quite there yet. And I think that once the game actually comes out, people will be pleasantly surprised that all this was completely overblown. Unless it's not, then of course I will say I was wrong, but I don't think I will be. But once again, we will see. But before we see to the next thing here, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is the Nintendo Switch 2 and kind of what's going on with this system so far. We are 5 months plus in. We are about to round out the first calendar year of the Nintendo Switch 2, pretty much cut in half though, because it came out in June of 2025, so we don't get a full scope of exactly the first year until next year at some point. But I would say so far at this point, Nintendo Switch 2 is doing pretty good. I think better than even what a lot of people were even going to say that it was going to do. Now, I have seen people that are essentially broken at this point, because I made a video just a little bit ago saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 is starting to break them. But I think now when you're starting to see slot videos of an hour and a half of coping, seething, and damage controlling the sales of a system, I think it gets to the point to where it's pretty much ridiculous and it's full on grifting. So I think that they're broken. It's not even starting to break them, they're broken. And a lot of people that were getting crazy amount of views and saying, oh my gosh, this is the reason why and all that, it's starting to dwindle because people are seeing through the fraudulent type of behavior. And I've been on YouTube a very long time. There's been a lot of people that have risen and fallen on the same presence, on the same type of thing that we see now with these videos. But yeah, like I said, anybody that uploads an hour and a half video talking about how the Nintendo Switch 2 is the worst, fastest selling system of all time, when they essentially denied it and coped for months saying that nobody's buying the system, it's only scalpers and all this other stuff, you just know once again that they have completely lost it mentally. But I think that if you look at the actual facts when it comes down to it, you look at actually what's happening, retailers buying the system because the system is doing well. Consistent flow of great exclusives that in turn help sell the system. And that's the lifeblood of any popular platform. If you look at every single best-selling platform in the world, every single platform, when it comes down to it, it's going to be certain games that people want, that drive people to pick up the system. And when it comes to Nintendo systems in particular, it's very important for the first party lineup to be absolutely pristine in order for people to pick up the system, to have those system sellers that drive the console for months and years on end. Now, the Nintendo Switch 2 is doing that, and it's not only doing that, but it's doing that with the future of what they want to do, with the Nintendo Directs. That is a huge marketing tool that lets people know, that gives people confidence that, hey, I can pick up this system now, and in March, in summer, in the fall, Nintendo's going to have fresh, new, big games for me to play. Now, is it going to get everything? No. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. There's game key cards and there's other things when it comes to prices, Mario Kart World, all that people don't like. But ultimately, at the end of the day, people are just wanting to have fun with the video game system. That's what it's for. And that's the reason why the Nintendo Switch is doing so well. That's the reason why retailers keep on making more orders. That's the reason why you continuously see people talk about this system, whether it's positive or negative, what they like, what they don't like, whatever the case is, it's all because the system is doing really well, and it's going to have the IPs and franchises that people truly care about in order for them to play and enjoy. And I think that with the Nintendo Switch 2, you see what they did this year: Mario Kart World, enhanced titles as well, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Legends ZA, Kirby Air Riders, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, a lot of great content from popular franchises that people like, but it's still not the toppest tier overall. Outside of Mario Kart, and yeah, you have Donkey Kong, that's pretty good too, obviously Pokemon, but there's still Gen 10 Pokemon, there's still the new 3D Mario, there's still the next big Legend of Zelda, there's still Super Smash Brothers, there's still Animal Crossing, there's still a lot of heavy hitters still to come, that truly big heavy hitters that helped move the Nintendo Switch 1 in its first year with the next 3D Mario, obviously Legend of Zelda, and I still think that they have other stuff like Splatoon Raiders, in addition to Fire Emblem, the next Monolith Soft game, and Splatoon itself, the next major Splatoon game. So there is a lot to look forward to, and that's the reason why the system's doing so well. It's not doing so well because Nintendo is forcing retailers to buy systems. It's not doing so well because there's some discounts in Europe and they're struggling, so therefore that's the reason why they're selling. It's not doing so well because in Japan it's a bit cheaper, because the economics of Japan are completely different when it comes to the yen versus the dollar and what people's median income is. So all that doesn't matter. What matters is that people see value to buy the system, whether it's going to be a little bit discounted or not. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. It really doesn't matter at all, because the GameCube was like $50 to $99 at some point, or $99, and people still weren't buying that because a lot of people just didn't see the value in the GameCube, even though I saw the value in it. Lots of people saw it, 20 something million sold, but that's not a large number of units overall. So you can have great value, you can have a bunch of things, you can have sales. That doesn't mean people are going to rush out there and buy your system 24/7 overall. Heck, Dreamcast had a bunch of sales and stuff like that. People didn't rush out there to buy that system either. So it's one of those things where you have to actually provide content. You have to actually provide the value, even if there is a sale, for people to say, okay, I do like that. I'm going to pick that one up because it has X, Y, and Z overall. And if you look at the previous systems, these systems, when it comes to the previous best systems at least, none of these systems would have sold the amounts that they sold without discounts and sales. It doesn't matter when it comes in the timeline. So when you're looking at stuff like Amazon, when you're looking at Best Buy, when you're looking at Target, a lot of them still have the Nintendo Switch 2 as a best seller based off of sales and views for the last 30 days. In Amazon's case, it's updated pretty frequently overall, and thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people are purchasing the Nintendo Switch 2 because they see tremendous value in it with Mario Kart World and with other titles to have fun with family, friends, online, all that good stuff. So ultimately, that's essentially what's going to be the lifeblood of the system. It's going to be the content that comes out. It's going to be the games that drive the platform overall. And I think that, yes, you need other things, obviously consumer-friendly practices. You have like the Steam machine, the new one. People are talking about how great that's going to be. You're going to have different types of games and different type of stuff that's happening. But ultimately, when it comes to marketability and when it comes to a platform success and what it does, it comes down to the games and it comes down to the marketing. Those are the two things that are really going to drive the platform forward. And overall, Nintendo Switch 2 clearly has the games and it clearly has the marketing for people to say, okay, I'm going to pick this one up. Now, one more thing that I wanted to address, and I'll probably have a full video on this a little bit later, but there was some talk, or I saw some things with some websites saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 software sales couldn't keep up with the hardware boon, and that's just false. It's just one of those things that's just completely false at this point. And the reason why I say it's false is because Nintendo calculates these sales a bit differently when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 editions. If you buy the game at retail, it's a Nintendo Switch 2 sale for the software, but if you buy a Nintendo Switch 1 version of a game and then buy an upgrade pack, that doesn't count towards the sales of the Nintendo Switch 2. So there are people that are buying upgrade packs, that are buying Nintendo Switch 1 versions of games and then upgrading them to the Switch 2 version. Well, it counts as a Switch 1 sale, and as you see, Switch 1 software sales are still pretty good for the past quarter overall, so Nintendo is counting it in a little bit of a different type of way. There are millions of people that are picking up games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, and doing upgrades for them on the Nintendo Switch 2, or even buying stuff like The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and getting free updates when it comes to that as well. So I do not believe that the software sales and people just aren't buying stuff and there's only 2 games per system. People got way more than that, in my opinion, considering what the Switch 1 offers, to the point to where even in Nintendo's Black Friday sales and deals, they even talked about how pick up these Nintendo Switch 1 games and then play them on your Nintendo Switch 2. So I think that's what's happening with a lot of titles. And of course, as we go on, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment came out, then we have Kirby Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4. There's going to be more games that add to it, and you're going to start seeing more of those Nintendo Switch 2 software sales lock in once we stop getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games and like those upgrade packs and things like that. I think that it's going to kind of shift over more towards, as Nintendo has officially stated, that they are completely moving development over to the Nintendo Switch 2. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.